Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Local Pundit. I'm Josh Anthony. This is your interview with Scott Moreton from the Wrexham Supporters Trust. Yes, sorry, I was looking at something as we did that, but yes, it's a very, very special episode today because we're going to learn a lot. And Scott's sitting in the background. We've just been going back and forth, and we're just going to have a little bit of a conversation. Really excited about this one. Scott's part of the community, the local pundit community. It's great. He's got great insight. So we're going to do a little learning today. As you know, it's always good to learn, and it's a good little time to do it too, because a little bit of downtime going into the holiday season. And so we're gonna bring Scott in as well from the Wrexham Supporters Trust and have a little bit of a chat. So enjoy, and also get your questions in as well. Scott, how are you? Good to see you, my friend.
Hi, Josh. How's it going?
Good. Doing all right. Doing all right. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it and taking the time. I know everyone in the community has a lot of questions just about what the Wrexham Supporters Trust does and how it got to where it is now, and also just frankly just about the club in general. So thank you for coming in.
No, that sounds good. Happy Christmas to everyone as well.
Happy Christmas. Yes. And we got some of the regulars in the chat too. I'm sure they're going to drop in and have some questions too. As you know, I know you watch the show. I know you listen to the interviews. We always start with an origin story. So we got to pass it on to you. Tell us a little about yourself. Tell us about Scott.
That's easy. Born in Wrexham, along with, was it 50,000 other people at the moment, and grew up in a place called Smithfield, sort of Kyle Park area, Old Queen's Park, and then with my friends on the street and play football. And then when we get to a certain age, you end up going with the dads to the football match, the dads and the granddads. So that's kind of how it all started for me. And that would have been, I think the first match would have been, it was either very end of the 70s or maybe early 80s, I'm not sure. But I started going on my own with a couple of friends and still going to those matches to this day with those very same friends, which is pretty cool. And obviously a lot of other friends along the way. So it's been I kind of miss, my dad's got the benefit of that 1978, 79, that kind of period where they were really good. And I was too young, really. I didn't, my dad probably didn't want me going with him, to be fair. Dragging the little kid around with him. But we did go, and he did take us. And my friend's granddad was the hero, really. He used to take us up there. We'd sit in the old Yale stand, which is now the Wrexham Lager stand.
Mm-hmm.
So my main experience kind of going on my own with friends without adults would have been the 80s. I mean, some people might remember some of the players. I don't know, Steve Charles always sticks in my head because he had massive legs. When you're as skinny as I am, he was just huge. And probably one of the, was it himself and Barry Horn later on, I think I got PhDs from university in crazy subjects like maths and chemistry. So they were quite a clever midfield back then in those days.
You remember your first day? Your first game when you went to, when you were a young boy?
I don't. I just remember running around on the old border stand, or the Mould Road stand as it is now, which was kind of a wooden thing, but there's kind of walls at strange angles that you can walk along and just be a kid. You see a wall and you want to walk on it. So they're my first memories, but I honestly couldn't tell you what the match was. I sadly don't know. But it would have been, I probably would have been, let's just say it was 1980, so I would have been maybe 8, something like that. But I got a feeling I was taken before that. But I definitely don't remember that one. It's just
what an amazing feeling to have, or something to grow up, with having like a football club in your town. It's got to be as a young kid.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was cheap to go in. Like if I went, if I was taken by adults, they could just sort of leave you, run off somewhere. But you were fenced in, so you couldn't get on the main street. So it's pretty safe, and everyone looks out for everyone else. So I suppose that was a different era then. But now it's all seated, and I would imagine it's a bit difficult taking toddlers with you, trying to keep them happy. You got to sit down, don't stand up. As we were just like, right, off you go. We just run off somewhere.
Are you, by the way, Wayne Cram is in this? Hey, Scott. Oh, hey, there you go.
Yeah. Good man.
Good man. And then, by the way, just going to keep it good. It's a live show, so get the questions in as well. He said, I carry my ID in the wallet, says Drew does whatever. He says, I'm actually in the WST. Admittedly, I don't know much about it. And that is why we're here. That's why we're here. Yeah. We'll get to that. Yeah. So, you grew up supporting Wrexham, obviously. The times have obviously changed. You look back, you've been through the highs and the lows and where you're at now. I mean, you got to look, you pinching yourself now and seeing things, how they're progressing.
Yeah, I think it's a bit crazy. Everyone says that, but I think everyone's right. It is a bit crazy. But it's kind of good fun as well. Mm-hmm. I think the ride's there to be jumped on and just enjoy it. I just enjoy it. I've always enjoyed going to football. There's that phrase that's always bandied about that don't let a football game ruin a good day out. I've met loads of people. It's strange in my life. You got your work friends, your friends you've had in school. Then you got kind of these weird football friends that you don't see for a whole summer. Mm-hmm. You catch up, and it's like you were never apart, and it's just nice being part of that. It's just something to look forward to. So it's always pretty good. But I think everyone was impacted by the takeover quite a lot. Once all this disbelief was over, if you like, then I think everybody kind of looked at it as this could be really good. And of course, the results on the pitch changed, and they seem to be delivering on their promises, etc.
Why do you think that was? I look at it like, I don't want to say like you won a lottery ticket or whatever, because you still have to do the work and put in. But why do you think that good for the town makeup? Was it just because they were so affected by what had happened, like with the club and everything? Why do you think that was such a shocking moment? And we'll talk about what happened on the 9th of February 2021. But why do you think that was for everyone in town, especially yourself being involved?
I think it was a bit of a shock. We're a kind of town that were kind of fiercely loyal to the town. I'm guilty of this myself. Like, you will criticize the town, criticize everything. Mm-hmm. But if someone else does, they're not allowed. It's one of them, you can take your family off, but
sure,
no one outside your family can.
Yeah.
So, but I think we were a bit down on ourselves, and it was always the same stereotypical or cliched, I should say, same cliched comments about Wrexham as it's a dump, it's this, it's that, it's the other. And it got to the stage, it was going on for so long, I think you end up believing it. If you criticise enough, criticisms are hurled at you all the time, you end up believing those things. Mm-hmm. I think there was a bit of that going on. But then obviously with the takeover, it kind of made people think, well, perhaps we're not that bad. And I think they kind of made a point of emphasising, there is stuff here. There are people. And certainly within regards to, you look at stuff that's out on the internet, whether it's art or it's just work or whatever, it's confident. It's given people a bit of confidence in themselves, I think. Mm-hmm. So, indirectly, obviously, but through the football club. And they do mention, the football club mirrors the town. Mm-hmm. And it's proven to be almost a decent hypothesis that you can't really disprove. Yeah. So it might become a theory in time.
Well, it's interesting, like, Rob and Ryan always talk, there's thousands of stories to tell in town. And, those are just as compelling what's going on the pitch than everything. And, all those personal stories of like you said, it's our town, which is why I'm so grateful, by the way, to just be a part of it as an outsider and, admittedly coming in late. But I think that there are stories to tell. And like you said, if you start believing it, you start believing those bad, you're like, it kind of hits you a little bit. So that makes sense. That's a great way to put it,
Yeah, well, I think we've always been defensive. We're always defending things. If someone says it's a dump, we say, no, it's not a dump. And it gets tedious. But now I don't think people are defending the town so much now as opposed to, oh, you want to go there? It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
The point people are able to point to things, say, oh, actually, Erddig Hall's really nice. Go and look at that. It's, instead of, oh, don't go there. It's a dump. You get robbed. It's as if we're more aware of areas that are, the positives. Except there's a Christmas movie, is it Mary Poppins or something? Accentuate the positives. So,
or someone will get it in the chat for sure.
Yeah.
Someone will get it in the chat. Hey Ruth, how you doing? But from someone outside looking who has not been to Wrexham, admittedly, you do see that mentality, the grit of what the supporters, that they wear it on their chest, and it's like, hey, this is our town, and especially when it comes to some things like, even like, for lack of a better word, the cop jacking up prices in certain ways. Like, I think there's something to that. So,
I think that was value for money.
Yeah,
we're quite thrifty in Wrexham.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think you have to be. I mean, you can't just spend. Brian Burton said, I think the years of disappointment have made long-term fans accepting of Parky's line mistakes. We could take a transition there, but we could do it in a second. But on that note, before we talk about the WST, this so far, I mean, you've been on this journey, and what do you think so far? And we can kind of work backwards. Let's talk right now in this, where we're at right now, about Parkinson and the squad, and currently where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with this season the way it's going, I don't think. Obviously, you always moan about the last result if it didn't quite happen for you, but to be third, and are we just shy of 2 points a game? Must be pretty close to that. I didn't think we'd be this high up. Certainly didn't think after the first 11 games we would have won 9 of them and dropped. I mean, that's pretty insane.
That's great.
And I think players have stepped up as well. I mean, I'm going to mention Palmer just for the giggles, but I think Palmer's doing okay. He's played every game.
Yeah,
I really thought he may have been, excuse me, not necessarily a backup, but not playing every game and up and down like he is within those matches. Admittedly, the goal scoring isn't as high as you'd want from, let's face it, a striker. But he's the only one, isn't he? So I don't think anyone else is in the squad could do what he does. And he serves the tactical purposes of Parker, really.
Yeah, he does. And love it. I will say you're 100%. And we kick every ball. You watch the shows, you're part of it too. And I'm happy to be wrong. But Parkinson has things why he does it, and he hasn't. He's the undroppable one. Palmer is the undroppable one.
Weirdly, you'd think it'd be Mullen.
You would, right? Yeah.
But obviously, I don't know. I personally, my opinion is Mullen should start.
Yeah.
And just go for it. I mean, we played Cambridge and Bristol, who were supposedly not doing well in the league. So you think, well, what's the harm? But there may be another reason which we're not aware of.
You think there's something else going on with Mullen? I mean, I think he'll probably start. If Elliot Lee's out, I said this earlier, if Elliot Lee is out for Boxing Day, he doesn't start Mullen. We have some, but I can almost, I'd be shocked. But do you think there's more going on with Mullen? Do you think we're not getting enough of it? The information?
I really don't know. If it was in the past, I would say yes. I'd be speculating and saying, oh, they've had a falling out, and this, that, and the other. But there's almost, is it 3 years they've been together? So
about that, yeah.
That makes me think there can't be a falling out. There can't be anything sinister. It might be just purely form and fitness.
Yeah. That's what it has to be, form and fitness, because he brought him on 35 minutes in when Elliot Lee went off,
Yeah.
But yeah, And as far as Parkinson, and then we can, what do you make of him? What do you think of Parkinson?
He seems pretty screwed on. I think just as his role as a manager, I think I'd be quite happy if he was my manager in work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he seems to protect people. I've never heard him call out an individual or even call the group out as such. But I think
He never slips. He never slips up. He's always on message, right?
Yeah, I think the only time he did it was with Aaron Hayden.
Really?
There's that little thing, wasn't it, where he talks about the injury. I can't remember the exact words, but it sounded like it was as if he was doubting the legitimacy of Aaron's injury.
Yeah, he's very. Like I as much as, for lack of a better word, I get frustrated at times. I can't really complain. I think he has one of the hardest jobs in football.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I think he has one of the hardest jobs with everything to make up 360. I think he's one of the hardest jobs in football because everyone wants to come at him and everything.
Yeah. And because he's not a new manager, he's obviously got previous history with other clubs.
Yeah.
So things go. Say it all went pear-shaped. The Sunderland fans will be on to you.
Yeah.
I told you, he's rubbish. Yeah. And you go, well, no, he's been pretty good for 3 years.
Yeah, that comes up a lot about the Sunderland. He gets to it's almost like they're giving him a ceiling, but we can't move on from him, and we can't. We can. Everyone's not untouchable, even like Pep these days. But I think he has one of the hardest jobs. And are you a home and away? Do you go home and away, or just home?
Not so much now with the children. So just a season ticket holder, and that's pretty much it. I think. Quite fancy Blackpool away because that's just a trip to the seaside. Should be quite good.
Yeah.
So I think the last away game I went to was the Torquay match because I couldn't really miss that. It was on the south coast, so the English Riviera, as they call it, and it was the last game in the non-league or the national, as they call it. And to this day, I will always say Billy Waters did score that game. And it shouldn't have been disallowed. It's one of those sliding doors moments for him, maybe. If that goal was allowed, would he have? I
don't understand what happened with Billy Waters. Before we move on, I'll give Brian Burton his just starts here. Can we get a Dalby opinion? Mine, but I'll give it to you, and we can talk about the WST.
For me,
yeah, oh yeah.
See, I'm committed because I'm in this WhatsApp group with my friends. And there's a guy who loves Dalby, and we just take the counter view just to wind him up.
Okay. Good friend you are. Yeah.
So if I come on here and then give Dalby any praise,
well, no one's going to watch this. Don't worry. Just say whatever you want. No one's going to watch it.
My friends will just turn around and tell me, "Oh, I see you thought he was good." And, I don't know. He's kicking up a storm in Scotland. I mean, he's obviously doing very well, but he shows touches, or he did for Wrexham last year, but he just never played, and I think
he never got an opportunity to play consistently, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a bit hard. You can't really criticise him because we haven't seen enough of him. So
you're not bringing it back.
I know people criticise him for not working hard and not running around.
Yeah.
I'm not having
I don't think anyone on the team doesn't work hard. You cannot name a player on the pitch, whether they're shit or amazing, that does not work hard. 100%. I think that's just the mentality of what Parkinson does, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he'll come back.
I hope he does. You think we'll do business in January? You have any insight on that?
We don't have that. That's the thing with Trust now, and the club is very close shop on that, and quite rightly so. I mean, unless somebody sees somebody at training ground.
Yeah, which happens a lot, oddly, because it's a small town. Yeah.
So, I mean, you can. It's quite easy to just go there and watch. So, but no, I saw that rumor about Patrick Bamford.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening either.
It's too expensive, and if you look at his goal scoring, it's
Yes,
less than Palmer. You know,
he's good. He can go Genoa. I think he can. He's 31. We don't need him. Wherever State Leeds, fine. Or the Gerhardt rumors. I don't think that's Gerhardt. I don't think it's going to happen either. But we'll see. Something will come. I think.
I think it's more likely to be a loan, isn't it?
You think?
Maybe,
Like a yeah.
Maybe but that's probably wrong.
I think we're all going to be surprised. I think we're going to be unwrapping the January gift at some point.
Yeah.
At some point for sure.
It'll be defensive.
Yeah. I'm getting the cam and I'm getting the striker if I could do. But I know it was nighttime for you, but I want to talk. Just get everyone while we're here, talk about the Wrexham Supporters Trust. Tell us a little bit about it. Let's pretend I know nothing. And usually that's the case. I mean, but tell us a little about the Wrexham Supporters Trust and what you guys are doing and how you got here and what the plan is moving forward. But we'll start there on February 9th, 2021, 4 years ago. We can go talk about the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, it started out of necessity, really, but it evolved from, I think that's my daughter trying to...
She's like,
yeah, she always so it started out of necessity, really, with owners, etc., being shady asset strippers, basically. But it evolved from separate groups, if you like. So once it became apparent that we needed to raise money to essentially pay the players their wages and that stuff, because the owners weren't doing it. There's things like a beer a week fund where I think Wins was another one, and then eventually, in order to get all the groups together under one umbrella, the Wrexham Supporters Trust was formed, and there had been.
What does that typically mean, though? Sorry, just for everyone, even myself included. Like, what does the Wrexham Supporters Trust exactly mean? Like what are those? How does that? You said just for paying. Like, what is the duties? Like the mission statement.
Yes. So a trust is it's basically a business, if you like, but it's not a registered charity, but it's things like I'm trying to think of examples that you might have across the world. Have you heard of the co-op?
Yeah. Yes.
The shop. There's shop. So that would have members. Those members would kind of own a piece of that shop, and they get benefits within the features of the shop.
Okay.
Shop and stuff. So the trust is a business in its own right. So the trust can own assets. So as a trust, for instance, we could own a street of terraced houses. And everyone who's a member of the trust would have an interest in those houses. And then
do you buy into that? Do you buy into that, or is it just?
Yeah, so you become a member. It's usually like an annual fee, as it is in our case.
Okay.
So back in the day when we owned the club, if you'd have a share of Wrexham Football Club, because that was one of the assets of the trust. The trust board would then run those assets. They'd be given a mandate by their members. So when we first started, obviously it's during the time when we're trying to kick people out of the club, the asset strippers. And that's, I have no other word for them because that's what they were. And so we had this mandate. It was drawn up for us legally, and that becomes almost like a legal contract of the trust, the people who are running the trust. It's all democratic, so when there's something, a major decision needs to be made, that would then be put to the members. Those members would then vote on those things. So, like for instance, I suppose that if we were in a situation where we were building the cup on our own, the members would vote on that.
How many members, by the way, are in there?
There were. Again, I don't know the figures, but there must have been a couple of thousand, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
Wow.
this was when we were fighting the fight.
Mhm.
So the town would naturally join, if you like, because we were right in the wrong. So everyone was on our side, if you like, and we needed to raise the money. The numbers now, obviously after the sale of the club to R&R McReynolds, the numbers naturally dropped, so people wouldn't renew.
Mhm.
We're obviously going through change because we don't know what direction we're going to go in next as such.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, their membership would lapse after the year, so they wouldn't rejoin.
Mhm.
That's not a problem. That's quite natural.
Mhm.
I mean, I myself at the time, I wasn't on the board at the time, but I did. I thought the same thoughts as everyone. What's the point of the trust now? What do we do? But there are important aspects to the trust going forward with
And
regard.
and how long has the trust been around?
It's been since 2001.
Okay.
We sold the club after about 20 years of our existence officially, if you like.
So the trust owned Wrexham Football Club.
We didn't own it for 20 years. We started in 2001.
Okay.
Because the years prior to that, we had just rotten owners.
Mhm.
So it started with the ambition to buy the club eventually.
Okay.
That was one of the main goals. So that's an example of where the trust members were asked to vote on what should we do.
Mhm.
Should our aim be to buy the club? So that was voted for as a yes. So that was one of the things that we would pursue eventually. I must emphasise I wasn't on the board at that point, so I don't know the ins and outs of exactly what went on. I was just more of not a foot soldier. That sounds a bit grand. Like running a stall in the town centre when we were in the LDV final, selling shirts and things like that. So,
and that was prior to R&R purchasing the club. Yeah. Okay.
A long time for that. That was the time of Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, Hamilton got some retails. I should write a list of their names. I don't think anyone should ever forget.
And so
Hamilton's living in Crete or somewhere now.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's got a profile on a dating website, so if anyone's interested in hooking up with him,
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody who's got links to his seedy dating profile.
Okay.
People are already onto it, so we promise that we're not going to let you forget until the day dies. We'll always find out where it is.
Never forget. Obviously, there's been a lot of, I hate to use the word hurt, but a lot of growth and a lot of growing. And we talked about that, where we're at right now in regards to Rob and Ryan coming in. And when when the Supporters Trust heard that there was someone that wanted to purchase the club, when it was, in 2001, how did that build-up happen? As someone who was, I don't want to say in the know, what was in the situation, what was going on?
Now, I wasn't on the board then, so I don't know the finer details, but I do know things. I think it's okay to say because it's been put out there before. It's been put out there, so I think it was in 20. They bought the club in 2021, but inquiries were started in 2020.
Okay, during the pandemic.
Yeah. So, I mean, Spencer Harris and a couple of guys are on board now. Probably may correct me, but it was, I can't remember the name of the group. It was an American investing bank. The kind of, I don't know if they specialise, but they'd certainly brokered a lot of deals for buying football clubs. Quite famous. I've forgotten the name.
Okay.
They did the Liverpool buyout.
Oh like yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yes, I don't know the name of that, but I know what you're talking about. Yep.
So they weirdly contacted the trust through Portsmouth Football Club's chairman.
Okay.
it was Spencer at the time who rang him and said, would you be interested in having talks with these guys from America? And so basically, I think the initial in 2020, they were just talking to bankers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that with no real clue of who was actually going, who were the people with the money. They didn't know who the individual people were. And then this is where the process kicks in with the trust. And I think it sounds like it was a decision between us and Hartlepool.
Mm-hmm.
And the trust board at the time, then, once it became apparent it was probably for the good of the club, they then had to sell the club and they would have been in I suppose, a kind of sales war with Hartlepool. So which was, and we're both very similar towns.
Mm-hmm.
There's mining history, there's all of that side of it. I think the Hartlepool had a Sky. Well, we've got a Sky reporter in Brynlaw as well. So, but the Sky anchor man Jeff Stallion was putting Hartlepool's case forward. But I think somehow the Wrexham Supporters Trust representatives at the time sold the club really well to Aaron Reynolds, and then we had the vote system we had to go through to ask the members, of which I was one of those members that received the email. And the email said it was basically the first meeting. It was Zoom. It was during the pandemic, and it was basically the vote was whether we would allow or give permission, really, to the board to continue negotiations with these two investors. We could vote no or could vote yes. But there was a little caveat, which I think pretty much secured the yes vote, because nobody knew who they were. There was all speculation. The caveat was, all that they could tell us was it was two individuals of high net worth who are internationally famous.
Okay.
Well, of course, you're going to vote yes.
Yeah.
So we voted.
Curiosity alone. Sure.
Because we knew there'd be another vote to come after that. Whether
what did it hurt? Yeah, it was a hurt. Yeah.
So you're nosy, you want to know. So they got pretty much a resounding yes from the first vote. And then, of course, it was revealed who they were. I got a text message, I got an email. I read the email, then my WhatsApp group with the season ticket holders. I just went absolutely nuts. It's like, is this real? Is this a wind-up? No one believed it. And then, of course, the follow-up Zoom meeting to vote to sell the club and change resolutions that we had to do as well, all the kind of legal parts of it, that came up. So during the pandemic, a lot of people in Wrexham would have had lots of work team meetings, but there was that one meeting during the pandemic on Zoom or Teams where 1,000 or so people from Wrexham had a meeting with Rob and Ryan. It was very bizarre.
I can imagine.
It was good fun. Yeah.
And then the rest is, I guess you could say, history. Not really. But plans on that, and since that's happened, I guess you could say you guys have obviously, guys and gals who are in the committee, have made the right decision. I mean, since where we're going, and everyone talks about the COP, everyone talks about the stadium, things like that. What's the interest of the WST, if any? I know you guys kind of work outside of, you're kind of independent now, which is, I would probably say, good for the WST. But like, what do you guys, do you have any information on what the plan is for the COP and the stadium and the land and things of those nature?
Yeah, well, the terms of the sale stipulate a certain amount of legal requirements that they should have. I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to say that they should abide by. That's probably not a word. But there's they can't move the club to play more than 2 miles away from its current location. We set those things in the terms of sale because we don't want the club to move. For us, it's an ideal location. If you move it anywhere else, you will see a drop off in the people going. It's such an ideal incredible location there, and it supports the pubs around, the shops, the little corner shop that sells kids crisps while they walk into the, there's a lot of footfall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wrexham Football Club, even at a lowest ebb, on a Saturday, say there was 2,000 fans. That's 2,000 fans walking past somebody's shop.
Yeah.
And buying crisps or sweets. So, it generates quite a lot. So it's the biggest pull the town ever had, really.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we feel the location is important. It should always be important. It's handy for the train station. It's good for away fans to access it.
Yeah.
It's just a really good location, which was its problem. But so the trust had all those things in place within that contract, and now, even though we don't own the club, we do own the lease.
Yeah. So what that relationship look like? They own the club. You have influence. So for everyone, even myself included, what is that? I'm going to ask the bad version. Is there a contention there? Is there an interest positive? Like, is there a different interest in either from the trust and for what the club wants to do? Is there communication? Is there, how do we narrow that down? If there is, if you can answer.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated in a way, probably needlessly so. But the lease in itself is a way of protecting the ground as well, and that's why the lease was tied into the sale of the club. So we had the lease. The university owned the ground. We lost the ground to asset strippers. So the university owns the ground, something called the freehold.
Mm-hmm.
We leased it off them for tens of decades. That was being leased by us for it's 100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So when they bought the club,
sorry, the lease of the ground of the racecourse
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's like paying a rent for 80 years, but that 100,000 a year stays 100,000.
Okay, never gets increased, never decreases. It's always just a flat 100,000.
It's a flat one. So in theory, if you worked out inflation, you get to whatever figures you want to get to. And then, so when they bought the club, they agreed to sublease it off us.
Mm-hmm.
Our lease was quite important.
Rob and Ryan's.
Yeah.
Got it. Yep.
And this is all out there as well. So they were subleasing it from the trust for 115,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
which remarkably, that 15,000, which seems like a profit for the trust, isn't, because that was used it just covered administration costs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we passed on that. I'm going to call it rent money for now. It's easy to understand it that way. So we paid that rent then to the university,
Mm-hmm.
because they had the freehold to the land and the ground.
Sorry, you said freehold. Sorry, someone. Shea Daddy. We're getting the volume up on it. So the freehold so the university has a freehold on the ground or on the buildings. So what does that exactly mean? Just
The freehold, like in Britain, you can have, if you buy a house,
Mm-hmm.
you want to buy a house and the freehold.
Okay.
Otherwise, you get tied up in all sorts of. You could end up owing thousands and thousands every year. So, by owning the freehold, the university they essentially owns the ground, and they were like our landlord.
Okay.
There's some subtle difference legally, which is, I have no. I don't like. I'm not aware of what they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the basics of it. And then, you fast forward to, was it last year, whenever it was, and Rob and Ryan then bought the freehold from the university.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a circle then of where we owed the rent to the freehold owner, which is Rob and Ryan.
The 100,000, right?
100,000.
Yep.
But then Rob and Ryan would owe us 115,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a numbers game going around in circles there. So, but they wanted the freehold because I don't really know why. During the communications, I think the reason was they couldn't get investment if they didn't have. This was the lease. If they didn't collapse the lease.
Wayne, so freehold means not having to pay any type of lease. Is that, well, they're paying to you guys and you guys are subleasing, which is, I mean, Rob always talks about the amount of red tape, which Rob said it publicly. Ryan does this too, but Rob has said like the amount of red tape, and this is exactly what, what they're talking about. Yeah, too. I mean, thanks, Wayne. Good to see you, brother. So where does it stand today? What is the movement moving forward of what the plan is for the Wrexham Supporters Trust, and what is the Wrexham Supporters Trust going to be doing just in their own accord, especially with working with the club and the community, everybody like that?
Well, we've done all we can with the lease. We're surrendering the lease to them, so then they'll become the freeholders in the right, and they'll own no ground. They won't be paying anyone rent.
The 100,000, 115,000 for that matter, right? Yeah.
So the trust would then be, because we're aware of this, we've had a vote on that, and it has been released.
As of
surrender release, they call it.
Okay.
So then that clears all that up, and supposedly they can then get investors in to deal with the COP. However, in order to surrender that lease, we have to sell the lease. You can't just give it away. It's like when we sold the club, we had to sell it for a peppercorn.
Do you have to do it for cost? You can do it for like $1, or you just or does it have to be for a cost?
We wanted the value of the lease, really. I think we owed it to the members to do that. That's what was agreed on. So if you work it out and you do all the maths to it, it was 187,000 that we sold it. Well, we're surrendering it for. But
when you say surrender, because that's obviously a term, like what do you say? Like we're walking away from it? I mean, it sounds more harsh than it is. Yeah, but it's for the betterment of the club. You're not trying to restrict Rob and Ryan or right. You're trying, but okay, this is the betterment for the club, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a lot of work and a lot of lawyers involved. But as part of that, then we couldn't just surrender the lease. There's always something, isn't there? So this is where part of our mandate as a trust was to protect the club, protect its location, as briefly mentioned. So that's where we got lawyers together to do what they call a King's Counsel. I don't know why it's called that either. It's just another word.
Because it sounds great. Yeah.
So the King's Counsel, which I'm just going to call a contract, that we have, that's legally binding, whereby it affords the equivalent protection to the ground as what the lease terms and conditions did.
On that note, sorry, something maybe I missed, but because I'm trying to follow it as well. I hope everyone is out there too. How did you guys get the lease? How did the WST get the lease? Was that in 2001 when you started the club? Did you buy it, or was it gifted to you? How did you guys get the lease for that?
We signed up with, if you go back a bit, the ground was robbed by the asset strippers. And then, obviously, the university stepped in.
Okay.
And they bought the freehold. So essentially, I think it's been said that if the university didn't do that, the University of Wrexham, Glyndŵr University, the club wouldn't have existed. It would have gone out of business.
Really?
It's as simple as that, really. So in a sense, we do owe the university a debt of gratitude for that. But then obviously to play on the ground and use the ground, we then took out a lease with the university for the £100,000 a year.
Okay, got it. Okay, so the university did you guys, well, I'll say it's solid, and that they stepped in, and that's how it was. Okay, that makes sense. And that was in the 2001, correct?
So essentially they're the landlord and we're the tenant, but it's like a 100-year thing.
Okay, copy that. Okay. And so back to now, you surrendered the lease to run Brian, and the plan moving forward, by the way, Spencer said same on Welsh Beast. Okay, copy that. So I don't know if that's, I don't know who Spencer is. Do you know a Spencer?
I'm gonna have to get the goggles.
Spencer said same on the Welsh Beast.
Spencer was the chairman of the board.
Yep.
And, you would have seen him on the documentary. He was the one where Ryan Reynolds was mic'd up in the toilet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the plan now is to, because I'm going to cheat the roadmap for the WSC for the next 3 years. I'm what is the plan now moving forward?
Well, the plan is we'll be the custodians of the King's Council, if you like, for want of a better word. So we'll be looking after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that essentially goes. It's like it goes into a safe in the center of a bank.
Okay.
For Fort Knox, it'll be there, but we'll be paying Fort Knox to look after this King's Council document to protect the club, and then that's one of the reasons for us existing currently. But then going forward, we need to change, I suppose, some of the mission statements. A lot of the morals of the trust will always remain the same. It's always going to be community biased. So, with regards to helping the community projects, etc., we're always an open society, if like open trust, in that anyone can join. You kind of get a say in how we run, what do we want to do. So we got the usual buzzwords in the mission statement, inclusivity, helping the community, and basically I think we want to bring one of the sides I'm sort of working on maybe is bringing a lot of people together under the one umbrella and just helping people, essentially helping where we can.
Is there anything like can I get into the WST? I'm not like could people of our community come and be part of that to help people? Is that something that is open? Or is it open? How does that work? Like if we're going to help people as well, maybe with local.
Yeah, it's basically it's like a supporters club, if you like. So, but under the guise of a trust. Okay. So you just sign up to be a member. It's as simple as that. I think it'll be it's £15 a year to join. I mean, so you get a membership card, that kind of thing. But we're going through a rebranding process at the moment. I believe some people may have signed up on the internet recently. I think if you signed up before December, if you signed up after December the 16th, we're not posting out cards. The guys who do the cards for us and the mail, they have 2 weeks off at Christmas.
Okay.
So that'll be a bit slower than normal. But with regards to everything else, if you become a member, you do get a kind of, I'll call it a direct line to the club via what they call the CAB, the Community Advisory Board.
Okay. Which
is something that the EFL requires every club to do. So they basically have meetings with supporters groups who are selected to sit on that meeting. So it's a quarterly meeting, and you'll have a number of questions to put forward to them. We can put forward questions and queries and griefs and grievances of a member. So if you're a member, we can then, we're official in our official capacity, we have to communicate that within these meetings. There was one just recently, a couple of weeks ago, and we've got 2, because we're the biggest supporters group in Wrexham, if you like.
Okay.
2 people on that meeting.
Okay.
You've got other groups. You've got Shropshire Reds, London Reds, Blues, Reds, all those supporters groups that you would have seen.
Yeah.
And they obviously they have their agenda as well, where things that might be, can we have players come to our club a bit more often? That might be, as simple as that.
Does the club, for lack of a better word, is the club aware and they're working with the trust and what you guys and gals are doing there? Is that is there communication?
They have to. It's
Got
it's part of. They have to. The EFL, English Football League, says clubs have to do this now.
Okay.
Have a communication with the fan base.
Great. Okay.
I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, I think somebody brought up a couple of meetings ago was about having handrails in where the stairs are, stuff for the older folk, if you like.
Yeah.
And they've taken that on board, and they replied they have to respond to those queries. It's a proper meeting, you got your chair of the meeting. Somebody's taking the minutes, and those minutes have to be.
I say it must be minutes and blue notes to take it for sure.
Right.
And you talk about getting it out there, and I hope this does the engagement to everyone at WST, and even I'm going to look on the website and try to sign up myself if I can. So is there a website to go and do that, to be a part of it? And if we can, just let us know how we can get engaged ourselves so we can be involved and try to, I feel like we're help.
Yeah, there is. Well, I'll drop my email on it as well. The trust email I've got, the account. If anyone's just got general queries, but if you wanted to join, it's the WST. Well, it's www.wst.org.uk.
Got it.
So it's obviously like a business email as well. So that's your organisation. So
it sounds like you guys and gals have gone into this, and you're just trying to, the club, care about the club, about the community, about moving forward, which is great, because, I guess my original question, what I thought was is there a friction there? Is there different interests? But it sounds like what the Supporters Trust, you guys all have the same interest for moving for the stadium, the land, the lease, everything for the club and the town. So, it sounds like you've been in synergy. Does that sound right?
I think our ultimate goals are the same. I think there's certainly friction with, surrounding the lease and surrounding it. There was a lot of discussion. So obviously Sean Harvey was in on those. So you have two sets of lawyers. Is it Succession where the lawyers? I'm trying to think. There's some Netflix program where they sit opposite end on the table. I think there was a lot of that going on. So like Sean Harvey, I think it's no secret. He's quite bullish.
Yeah.
Kind of Waller, isn't he? So, but he's fighting their corner. So it's all fair in love and war as such. But we're fighting the fans' corner with regards to the lease. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's always a happy medium, and there's always something to be worked out for sure.
I think we've met and we've agreed. It took a long time, and sometimes it might have been the discussion the volume levels might have got higher, but we weren't going to back down, and he wasn't going to back down. But we both kind of knew that we both want to go in the same direction as a football club.
Well, I think everyone, if you get everyone going in the same direction, that's usually positive for everything. At the same time, we need to continue to win football matches, or else, not that this is done, but you guys are putting a lot of work in. Brian's asked twice now. I'll bring it out there. Welsh Cup. Any thoughts on the Welsh Cup? What's your opinion?
Yeah. It'd be nice. I mean, that's the one thing. I'm of the age where I was fortunate enough to see those matches that people talk about, with the exception of the Anderlecht one. But that whole match, by the way, is on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I'd watch it because people like Arvin Griffiths, if you watch him play, honestly, they could play in this team now easy. Yeah. Really. But they kind of proved. Well, he played for Arsenal as well, but obviously they played in the old championships.
You think it'll happen? You think it'll happen?
The Welsh Cup. I haven't really followed it because I didn't really take it that seriously, because this is one of the stories that comes up so many times and it always gets knocked back. I've got a feeling, I don't know if it's got knocked back at all.
I don't think there's been a solution. No, for sure. No.
I never opened Daily Mail news links because you just know it's going to be nonsense.
You don't want the clickbait. I get it. Then they keep coming. They just keep going.
It would be nice though, and it would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember because the last time we played, there was a rule that you'd have to have whatever country your team was from, you'd have to have a certain amount of players from that country.
Yeah.
So you get people like Man United were always a bit screwed because they got people like Mark Hughes and the Irish lads and the Scottish lads, but they're all counted as foreign.
Yeah.
So, but obviously we had the same problem when we played. So you get quite youth teams playing out there. Don't have to pick and choose. But yes, I would love us to play in Europe.
We're going to get there. And on that, I know we've been around an hour and we cognizant of your time. And by the way, always welcome back. And I appreciate you coming in and just having a chat. And first of many, I hope. I know you're always in our community. So if anyone sees Scott in the chat or in the Discord, feel free to ask questions. I'll get you on the way out on this and I'll let you go to your Monday night with the family. Are we going to get promoted?
Oh, yeah, easy. Yes.
I love it. And on that bombshell, yeah, you think we'll get? You think I think we are too. Obviously, Birmingham City are playing right now, but yeah, do you think we'll get promoted this season?
I think so. Yeah, why not? I think they've got to go for it. They're in a position where they're quite close, and then there's all that financial fair play stuff, which I've not really looked into. But I think if we stay down, it might hinder us. But if we go up, we can avoid it. There's different ones, isn't there, for the Championship and League Two?
I think we got to go for it. I think we got to go all in and go for it.
Yeah.
And I hope we do.
I think so, definitely.
I hope we do. All right, we'll get you out of here, and I appreciate taking an hour of your time. And what's the WST site again, if you want to just plug that real quick?
Yeah, it's www.wst.org.uk.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Well, thanks for coming on, and I really appreciate it. And if anyone, please watch it back, share it out. This is great, Scott. I really appreciate you taking the time and giving us a little bit of insight what the Wrexham Supporters Trust does, and how you guys move forward, how you're working with the club. And I'd love some updates if we can do that in the next month or so. It would be great to have you on again.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Thank you very much. And on that bombshell.
Yeah. Up the town.
Up to town. We'll see you all soon.